Hello everybody. Thank you for making time to join us today to watch this short video about the 6-step approach to identify and close gender-related gaps to improve outcomes among men, women, boys, and girls. This is our second video on gender. I very much encourage you to watch the first video that we taped on gender integration. It is posted on the Assist and YHER websites. Assist partner YHER developed an innovative and effective 6-step approach to help assist teams integrate gender into improvement activities to identify and close gender-related gaps. It has been tested in a variety of assist programs and countries and has achieved improved service utilization and retention in care, as well as a decrease in adverse events. The first step in our approach is to conduct a gender analysis. What do we mean by gender analysis? Gender analysis is a systematic way of identifying, understanding, and describing the social, health, education, economic, and political issues that affect the lives of men and women, boys and girls, and identify gender inequalities that affect development outcomes. When doing a gender analysis, we examine issues such as access to services, knowledge and beliefs, decision-making practices, roles and participation, and legal rights and status in the household and at the community, in addition to power relations. Ideally, a gender analysis will be conducted before a program begins in order to better understand gender issues that may affect the program, but it can also be conducted anytime during implementation. Gender analysis involves collecting and analyzing existing or original sex-aggregated data in addition to other qualitative and quantitative information. Findings from the gender analysis should be incorporated in the program cycle, in the design, in the implementation, and monitoring and evaluation of all projects. For example, in 2015, the YHER team supported the Assist Mali Improvement colleagues to conduct a gender analysis to examine the different roles and status of women and men. We wanted to identify gender issues that might affect the achievement of their maternal and child health-related project objectives, as well as opportunities that should be leveraged. For example, the analysis showed that often husbands and mothers-in-law decided whether or not a woman needed to go to the health facility rather than the woman herself. Yet both husbands and mothers-in-law had little accurate knowledge about health needs of these women. Therefore, the team realized that it is important to make sure that not only women but also family members are educated about the importance of antenatal care, delivering at a facility, and also postpartum family planning. The second step in our approach is to collect and analyze sex-aggregated data and gender-sensitive indicators. These are different. Sex-aggregated data are data that is collected and presented separately for both males and females. It allows teams to identify quantifiable differences for men, women, boys, and girls. For example, nutrition status, education outcomes, or retention in care for both males and females. Gender-sensitive indicators are different. They measure things like male partner involvement in antenatal care or mothers-in-law educated on maternal and child health issues. These gender-sensitive indicators measure changes in the status and role of women and men over time. Today we will focus on analyzing data disaggregated by sex because we are trying to close gaps in outcomes among men and women, whether it is access to care, retention in care, or other outcomes. It is ideal to start disaggregating data by sex at the beginning of the program, but you can disaggregate data by sex at any time. It's never too late. Examples of indicators that should always be disaggregated by sex: people living with HIV, TB, HIV co-infected people, clients on antiretroviral therapy, orphans and vulnerable children accessing different services, and HIV positive people assessed for nutritional status. Those are only examples. Since projects are sometimes mandated to collect data to measure multiple indicators, we propose that you choose 2 to 3 indicators that are disaggregated by sex to analyze for gaps. If you do not find any gaps, you can choose to stop analyzing such data and choose another indicator to analyze. Sometimes finding no gap does not mean it will be a consistent finding for a variety of reasons. Therefore, the decision to continue analyzing data disaggregated by sex or not is dependent on the context, on the social setting, and in-depth knowledge of gender issues, which can be informed by the gender analysis that we mentioned earlier. Improvement teams can always go back to measuring an indicator if the situation changes and if there is a need. An example that I would like to share today is from Malawi. When our team started disaggregating data by sex, they were able to identify gaps in education outcomes among girls and boys, as you see in this graph. Once this gender gap was identified, it was time for step 3. In step 3, we work with improvement teams to develop changes to test to address the gender-related gaps and issues identified. To do this, consider the barriers and opportunities the team identified when they conducted the gender analysis. Think through the direct changes that alleviate those barriers and leverage those opportunities. Just like in all improvement activities, ideas for gender-related changes can come from literature, normative documents such as guidelines or standards, team problem solving, benchmarking, or knowledge management products or tools. Remember that not every change leads to an improvement. In addressing gender gaps, it is important to always consider cultural norms and not propose changes that might affect women and men negatively. In Malawi, the team identified that most girls who failed exams had not attended school regularly and were tasked with a lot of domestic chores, so they designed targeted activities to address this issue. After developing changes in step 3, the team moves to step 4, implementing the gender-related change ideas and monitoring them over time to determine whether those desired results are achieved. The team can select a few sites to test changes to address gender-related issues affecting outcomes among males and females. Consider identifying sites that demonstrate a large gap and that are able to address gender issues, as well as sites that have community activities at their level. Those activities are important because most of gender issues are identified at the community level. Field staff should monitor changes to overcome gender-related issues, analyzing data monthly or quarterly to determine whether the change has led to an improvement in outcomes and is closing the previously identified gap. Again, at this stage, it is important to make sure that changes tested do not create or increase risk for women, men, boys, or girls. In other words, they do no harm. If any unintended negative consequence is identified, this must be addressed promptly. As the Malawi team moved to step 4, one change idea they implemented was to establish mothers groups that conducted monthly meetings with school-age girls where female mentors counseled girls on the importance of education and the negative impact of dropping out of school. Over time, they were able to close the education gap between girls and boys. As the girls' school attendance improved, the team also checked to see if boys were left behind. This did not happen, but would have been an unintended negative result if it did. Once we see effective gender-related changes, it is important to scale them up to another site. This is step 5 of our approach. When a tested change leads to an improvement, and remember what we said before, not every change leads to an improvement, but if it did, the next step is to identify new sites to scale up the effective gender-related activities. It is important to identify any new gender-related issues or differences in the community in which the scale-up would occur. Gender issues might be different in different communities, even in the same country. If those differences are not addressed, it might be affecting the scale-up of the program. Finally, in step 6, if a gender-related change is successful, or even if it has not been successful, it's recommended to document and share that learning. Documenting and sharing learning from gender integration is a key component of the ASSIST project because it enables teams to remember what changes were tested and how and why they did or did not work. It can also help create institutional memory and allows others to learn from your work and improve their own. Documenting and sharing gender-related learning can be done through a journal of changes tested, blogs, case studies, improvement stories, or videos, for example. In addition, be sure to include regular discussions about gender gaps and how to address them in learning sessions. And always be sure to document and share your gender work in meetings and annual reporting. Gender integration is critical in improvement activities because without considering gender activities, improvement risks failing to reach half of the population and unintentionally exploiting men, women, boys, or girls. Our 6-step approach explained in this video seamlessly incorporates gender into improvement rather than having gender as a standalone activity. For more information on this 6-step approach to identify and close gender-related gaps between women and men, boys and girls, as well as tools and resources to help you integrate gender, please visit the gender page of the ASSIST website. Thank you very much. We appreciate your attention.